Hey everyone, welcome back to She Births Podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Show, and today's guest is Julie. Hi, Julie.
Hello, Brooke. So happy to be here with you today.
Thank you so much for being a guest.
My pleasure.
So, I wanted to talk a little bit about your book. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Sure. So I grew up in the United States and had most of my career in San Francisco, working in mostly in tech and startups and in big companies. And then I moved to Australia 7 years ago, and I've been living in Sydney. And I started out here running an accelerator program for female entrepreneurs. And while I was doing that, and after having worked with a lot of people over years in my career, I realized that it's more mindset than skill set that holds people back. And so I left the career that I had and retrained as a hypnotherapist and a coach so that I could help people work on their mindset to really live their best lives. And while I was doing that, I had divorced years ago and got back into the dating space. And with my personal dating experience, interviewing tons of people, working with people as a hypnotherapist and a coach, I decided to write a book about dating that's called Found: Swiping Right on Me to Find Love. And that's what it looks like. You're pulling it up as well. And yeah, it's all about finding yourself and really getting in touch with who you are, and then some funny dating stories and learning how to really get out there and be the best person you can be, to be kind, compassionate, and respectful to first yourself and then to the others that you're interacting, so you can have some great experiences.
Nice. So, can you tell us a little bit about what hypnotherapy is for my listeners who might not know what that is?
Yes. So let's start out with what it isn't, because a lot of people they know about are the stage shows where you get up on stage and they get you to quack like a duck, right?
It's what I thought.
And that's fun, right? And that's a show. And the people who are getting up on stage and doing these things are doing them because they want to, right? The person who's doing the show picks people out based on how suggestible they see they are because they want to do these things. So when I'm working with clients, hypnotherapy is all about getting into the subconscious mind and finding the root cause of anything that might be holding you back from being who you want to be or living the life you want to live. So for example, I work with a lot of clients who might be stuck maybe in their career, in their relationship, and they realize that there's something holding them back, but they're not quite sure what it is. Maybe they're experiencing anxiety or burnout or all these different things. And so what we do is I do what's called regression therapy, where I take them back under hypnosis to see things and understand and experience things that are held in the subconscious mind, that the conscious mind, the way we're speaking to each other right now, we're not able to access that information. And by doing that, we can revisit and understand so that we can shift maybe the meaning behind that and help people move forward. It's really rewarding work.
Oh, wow. Wow. And you've got positive reviews from this from your clients?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it is amazing to see the shifts that people make. And the beautiful part of it is I'm just the guide, right? I'm guiding somebody to find this information that they need to take their life to the next level. And they're doing this really all themselves, just with me as a guide. And it's really life transforming. You know, I work with so many clients and so many different issues who've been able to create the relationships they want, create the relationship they want with themselves, build up their confidence and their self-belief so they're able to move forward in the world the way that they really want to.
Nice. So how can my listeners get involved and get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you've got my site pulled up. They can reach me at juliedemsey.com, or they can send me an email at julie@juliedemsey.com. But on the website, you can click to fill out a form and give me a little bit of information about what you'd like to work on. So, and then you can find me on socials. But really, those are the best ways to get in touch.
Oh, nice. And you do mindset coaching as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So mindset coaching is really learning how to be more kind to ourselves, learning
Mhm.
how to have the right information. You might have noticed that when I spoke about working with clients, I said I work with people who experience anxiety, for
Mhm.
example, right? Instead of people who have anxiety. Because when you say, I have this or I have that, you're owning and feeling that's a part of you. So you don't necessarily want to let it go. The same thing, words matter in terms of when we're talking about reducing our weight or our size. We don't want to say, I'm looking to lose weight, because what do you do when you lose your keys? You want to find them. If we talk
Right.
about losing something, right? So it's shifting the way we think, it's shifting those thoughts and feelings that we have so often about ourselves. I work with everyone from I do some volunteer work and work with young girls on this and improving their mindset and building their confidence. And I start with them by joking and saying, "Would you turn to your best friend and say, 'Your ass looks big in those jeans?'" Sorry, can I say that? But
Oh
your
yeah,
butt
yeah,
looks
yeah.
big. You look really bad today. I don't think you're very smart. What's wrong with you? And they laugh and they say, "Why would I ever say that?" I said, "Well, do you say those things to yourself?"
Mhm.
And that's the thing. We give ourselves these messages. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. And we need to shift that to shift our reality and become the person that we want to be. That's what's holding us back, or having thoughts like that. So if we shift our mindset, if we learn how to be kinder and more compassionate to ourselves, we
Mhm.
learn how to improve our lives and live the lives that we feel we know that we deserve.
I love that you brought this up because, like, 20 minutes before I got on this stream with you, I was talking to my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm fat. And she's like, Don't say you're fat. And she was like, You're not fat. She was like, You can, what you just said not to say, you can lose weight. And she was
Exactly.
like, You can work on that.
Yeah.
But
And so if you're a client, I might say, Brooke, what makes you say that? Why are you saying that? And kind of get to the underlying, you know, thoughts and feelings behind that, and talk about how we can shift that. And let's shift from thinking that to, let's think about all the positive things about ourselves. How can we build on that?
yes, yes. And now I want to talk about your business and personal coaching. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep. So, the coaching that we're talking about right now is kind of the personal coaching, but I really like to say I'm kind of a holistic coach, right? Because
Oh.
we are not a business person separate from our personal lives.
Mhm.
So I work with people on what is the matter at hand today that we need to talk about. And if we're working on relationships, it might be relationships at work, it might be relationships, we're looking for a significant other, or we're having issues with a significant other. I do couples coaching too, which is similar to, marriage counseling, but it's coaching. And it's all about working to figure out, how do we get to the bottom of what is troubling us and how do we move past that? How do we shift things to be in the space that we really want to be in? And then in terms of business, so that's the personal side of things. And I work with people also on, if they're a business owner, helping them in their business, because I have that business experience as well as the coaching. I might help people find a new career or that next job, and really work with them to feel valued in a way that they feel strong and confident going into those interviews. And then on the corporate side, I do work with corporate teams as well, going into clients and getting embedded, whether I'm helping a team together or individuals within the team.
Wow. What inspired you to get into that field? Like into that?
Well, like I was saying before, I'd worked in corporate for so long.
Mhm.
I managed big teams, and everybody always said to me, "God, you should be a coach. You're really good at helping getting the best out of people." And I always said, "I don't want to be a coach. I love being." And then after years of getting to the point of burnout, because I worked too much and I didn't know how to stop, and I needed to make a change. And I really thought about it, and I thought, you know what? actually the part that I enjoy the most is not the actual business, but it's helping people reach their full potential and be their best selves. And that what caught is what drove me to retrain. And also when I was thinking about it, as I was saying, the whole mindset side of things, when we go through traditional counseling methods, it takes a long time to get the change that we're looking for often. And I was looking for something that might help people to make those shifts more rapidly. And so I started looking into neuroscience. And when I was doing that, I came across hypnotherapy and realized that in a 2-hour session, we can make a significant life change. And that just sold me on it.
Wow. Wow. How long did the training take for you?
The training was a combination of in person and online. So I did a 12-day intensive, like 12 hours a day in person. And then there's hundreds of hours of online training
Oh, wow.
that goes along with that. And then on an annual basis, I need to keep up my credentials. So it's doing continuous learning, which is great because I love to be a continuous learner and add tools to my repertoire of how I can work with clients and also, continue to help myself as well.
Yes, that's amazing. I love, love, love what you're doing. But I did want to go back to talk about your book
Yep.
because it is amazing. Let me bring it back up. So, what inspired this book? You've already told me like dating, but can you get like dig deep down in and like tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I got married and thought I would be married forever. Like that's the intent of going into a marriage. And unfortunately, after 7 years, that disintegrated. And I needed to back out into the dating world. And everything had changed because we didn't have the dating apps and the smartphones when I went into my relationship. We weren't texting each other or sexting or whatever it might be. And so as I was getting out there, I would share stories with my friends, and they're like, "Oh my God, you've got so many great stories. You should write a book." And then I'd talk to other people who are like, "I've got so many great stories. I should write a book." And I thought, you know what? I'm going to be that person that actually takes those stories and writes a book. And so I wrote the first draft of it, and then I got into a relationship, and then things happened with work, and I set it down for about 10 years because I didn't have a big why behind why I needed to get this out into the world. And then as things progressed and I find the same people or all the people saying the same stories that I was feeling myself. I'm so tired of the dating apps. There's so much bad behavior out there. I kind of go on, I go off, I get really tired of it. Excuse me. And I started thinking, you know what? There's a big why for the book. I want to help people see they're not the only one. I don't want them to feel bad when they're navigating this world. I want them to kind of learn from my experiences. And, you see in the book some things you wouldn't want to do. And I hope you'd learn from me to not do those. And some funny stories as well. I mean, it is very humorous. I've gotten a lot of feedback that people find it really relatable. They find it to be funny. They kind of look at it and go, "Julie, why did you do these things?" And then it's something that's helpful to them to really say, "Okay, I can get out and do this myself." And also there's some tips in there, like I said, not to learn from, or to learn from the mistakes, not to repeat the mistakes that I've made necessarily.
Ooh, I'm gonna pick this up because yeah, the dating scene is pretty bad because it's like the men just want, sex and then the women just want money. And I'm like, where do we come? Like, why does this happen?
Well, and so that's a simplified way of looking at it, right? And if we get back into the mindset of things too, I would actually say, you know what, holding those thoughts, what we think is what we see. And if that's what we're thinking, that's all that's out there, that's what we're going to see, and that's what we're going to experience. So it's really important to say, you know what, these are the stereotypes. I'm going to set those aside, and I'm going to focus on what do I want my life to look like, and what do I want to bring into it? What's the type of person? And we need to remember, we only need one right? That one right person. And I think what happens when we're out there, we're on the apps and we're dating, we're exposed to so many more people
Mm-hmm.
than we would have been in the old days, right? So what happens is we're exposed to so many people, and because we only need that one, and there's only a few that we're really actually going to be compatible with, we're sorting through all these others that we're actually not meant to be with. And each time that happens, we take a little hit thinking, I'm not going to find the one.
Mm-hmm.
And in the olden days, I sound like I'm 100 years old, but we weren't exposed to as many people. So we didn't have so many of those experiences that weren't as fulfilling with an outcome. And so if we can really get back to really understanding that and saying, you know what, let's enjoy the journey. Let's
Mm-hmm.
look at this and say, you know what, so I meet a guy that's all he wants. Let's spend some time that we are together thinking about what's one thing I actually like him or one thing I can learn about him.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's really that bad, we get up and say, hey, thanks for your time, and we walk away. And
How do
that's
you
okay.
do that though? Like, how do you do that though? Like, like me, I feel sorry for people. I don't know. I guess empathy. I guess I don't know. I feel sorry for people, and I'm like, oh, maybe I could give them a chance or work on them. Like, that's
Yeah.
my thing. Work with
Okay.
them.
So first of all, it's not our job, male, female, or any other gender, to work on somebody else. It's our job to work on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody's not at a place where they're ready to meet us, don't fall in love with their potential.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You want to find somebody who's at the same place you are, looking for the same things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's really important to remember. And in terms of feeling bad, like listen, we need to set boundaries for ourselves and for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we can spend all the time in the world nurturing people who aren't deserving of our time.
Mm-hmm.
It's their responsibility to take care of themselves and our responsibility to take care of ourselves. It's also our responsibility to be kind, right? I am not a fan at all of ghosting. I think it's very sad when people say that's just a fact of life right now. I think that can go away.
Mm-hmm.
It feels hard because
Mm-hmm.
we don't like confrontation to say to someone, hey, listen, it was nice to meet you, but I think I'm going to move on. I'm not feeling like this is the right connection I'm looking for. But you know what? It's so much kinder than leading somebody on. And when I was
Yes.
a person and I was dating, I did not have the capacity or the ability to do that. And I would lead guys on for so long just because, oh, I'm busy, I can't make it. I wouldn't pick up the phone and I'd put them off as long as I could, thinking that was the kinder thing to do because I didn't want to have to tell them I'm not interested. But
Mm-hmm.
having been on both sides of the coin and knowing the psychology behind it, it is much kinder to just say to someone, hey, thanks, but I'm just not interested. I'm going to wish you all the best, and cut it off, like rip the Band-Aid off.
Yes. Yes. True. I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah.
Because ghosting hurts like the person's feelings. They're like, well, what did I do? They want to know. I guess it's closure. I guess.
Exactly. And that closure is a really kind thing to give someone. And listen, we're not often going to get the closure we want or need. So sometimes we need to give that to ourselves, and we need to just say, you know what? I deserve better. And if somebody isn't there giving me and respecting me and showing up in the way that I need to,
Mm-hmm.
them to, then I'm better off with somebody else, and I'm making the space to find that somebody else that's deserving of my attention.
That's true. That's true. And I wanted to ask you my one final question. What was your hardest scene to write in this book?
Um, the hardest thing to write, I think, writing about myself and my feelings. So the first draft of the book, when I spoke with my editor, she's like, Julie, where are you? You're not in this book at all. Like, we don't see you. We see the other characters. And it's like, oh, you know what? You didn't see me because when I was writing that, I didn't really know who I was. So
Mm-hmm.
coming back and writing the second draft and feeling all of that, that was probably the hardest part, but it was also really therapeutic and enjoyable. And like I said, like I wanted to do this to support other people in their journey. And if I help at least one person by writing this and sharing the story, it's worth it.
Yes. Is it on audiobook yet?
It's not on audiobook. It is it's on Amazon and any other online booksellers, all of the online booksellers, and both paperback and e-reader or Kindle versions.
Okay, okay, cool. Is there a way to get a signed copy from you or no?
That's a little bit difficult to do. I'm in Australia, and
Yeah.
the cost of sending postage overseas is a little bit prohibitive of that. But come visit in Australia. Sign a book.
Definitely. So is there anything that you would like to share with my listeners before I let you go? Anything else?
No, I'm just really happy to be here with you and to, share a little bit of my story. And if I can support you in any way through hypnotherapy or coaching, please reach out and pick up a copy of the book and let me know what you think.
Yes, I definitely am. And I want to thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast today.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Brooke.
You have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Hey everyone, thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Julie. If you would like to pick up a copy of her book, like she said, you can go to her website. It is juliedemsey.com and it's JuliedemSey.com. And you can purchase her book or contact her about her hypnotherapy and anything else she has going on. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.